Take your position. The show is about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to On Screen, where we discuss all things cinema all the time. Here's your hosts.
the award goes to
Joe Brunett, Joe Cuffney, and Jesse Reichenstein. Lights, camera, action.
Okay. Well, Happy New Year. This is January 2nd.
Happy New Year.
The year of 2022. I like your little icon. Yeah, well, let's ring in the new year with a not so happy story, but old movie. Let's talk about Brian's song from 1971.
This is a story about two men. They competed for the same job. One was white, the other black. One liked to talk a lot.
You said, uh-huh.
The other was shy as a 3-year-old.
Hey, rookies got to stick together.
Our story is about how they came to know each other, fight each other,
I'm going to whip you, Sayers. But you got to be at your best.
and help each other.
I think I owe you a beer.
How you? A lot more than that.
Yeah.
What it comes down to is that JC had a notion here, and Ed seems to think it's a good idea.
We'd like you and Brian Piccolo to room together.
You had me worried. I thought it was something really.
This is something really. Man, you talking about a white man and a black man rooming together on a team which never been done before.
What JC is saying is that there may be some pressures, severe ones.
I was afraid to get up. I figured not everything was going to come with me.
You have never seen anyone so black and blue in your life.
It's like rooming with a colored player again.
Gale told the joke.
Gale, I'm sending Brian Piccolo back to Chicago. He's always been in shape, willing to give 100%. But he's not doing that anymore. And that's what worries me. I don't know what it is. Could be something physical, or it might be an emotional disturbance.
I mean, I know perfectly well what's wrong with me. Gail, I think I'm pregnant.
Don't make fun of me, Brian. I'm scared.
I'm no idiot. This thing I got's bad, I know that. But, well, it's just a detour, Joy. I'm not gonna let it stop me. I'm just not. There's no way.
The tough, tender, and true story of Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo.
And this is your pick, Joe.
Yep, this was one of my picks. So like I kind of have been on a football movie kick. And so like, you know, before the holidays anyway, then the holidays hit, got to do the holiday movies. But I was trying to think of like other football movies that would be in contention for, you know, best football movie. And I hadn't seen this. Like you guys, when I mentioned I was picking this, you guys said you watched this in school, and I have no memory watching this in school. But I remember watching this. My dad would always get videos from the library, and this was a library pick he brought home one time when I was younger, and so I watched it then. But I was like, maybe it'd be a good time to resurface this one and see what it was like, because I didn't really remember too much about it. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
I want to go back to that. You said, because we did watch this in I watched it in Mr. Vitale's class in 7th grade. I don't know about you, Jesse, but
Same thing.
now I'm looking back. Why did we watch this movie?
I was trying to remember like what maybe the project around it was, or what we are reading that maybe. I feel like we read a version of Brian's song in that like giant book. You know, like in school, you just had that like giant book that was under the desk that you pull out, and it just have like stories and stuff. And once in a while, they'd be like, "We're gonna read something from that book."
Yes. I think you're totally right.
There.
It was like we read like a short story version of it or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. That sounds right.
Yeah.
But
turns out not a happy movie. I mean, it's a very nice story, but it is very sad there by the end. And like, there's all sorts of like I was trying to figure out if I would consider this more of a timepiece movie or more of like an actual football movie. And I don't know. I think it'd be a little bit of both.
For sure.
Because you've got the. I do love the like old school football, like, I just love that. But there's the whole racial component. There's the obviously like Brian getting sick and then finding the tumors. So like, I feel like there's a lot going on that isn't football in this movie, but I still would consider this a football movie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That is interesting. I never thought about that. Like, until you just brought that up, it's like really not as much about the football as which is interesting. I don't know if I like that or not. I can't tell. Because like, if I'm watching a football movie, I kind of want to watch football, like a football movie.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm fascinated by the lives and like kind of how they got to their,
Yeah, like this is not Friday Night Lights kind of thing. No. Like this, I honestly, like if you had to, like oftentimes you can boil a movie down to like, hey, this is like a breakup story, or hey, this is a love story, or whatever. And this is really just about these two guys, Brian and Gale, right? And it's about their relationship, and that's the whole story. And I don't know. I just think the whole thing works because of that relationship.
Yeah. I think it's a great relationship. I think it's awesome. I mean, it makes it even better that it's a real story. Like,
right.
If this wasn't a real story, to me, it wouldn't hit anywhere. But like the fact that this is a real, and like Gale's still alive, right? Or no?
I don't know. I don't want to misspeak on that.
I know, me neither. But anyway, I think it's just super cool to, I think this came out like a few years, or not even a few months after he died. He actually died. I think they made this like,
maybe that close.
Maybe it might be like a year. I don't remember. I read it somewhere. It was very, very close to when after he died, actually. So, and then my first initial thought when this came on was TV movie, and it is a TV. I mean, it's a major TV movie, which I do love the length. It's like an hour 18 or something like that. Great length. But it's so funny that you can kind of tell the difference between a TV movie and like a movie. Cause like to me, that's like the music aspect is like TV music. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like kind of cheesy, but not. But
also the transitions.
Yes.
I was about to ask, because I wrote this down and I forgot to connect it to a TV movie, but how I'm assuming they were just obviously the commercial breaks, but how like the music would like fade out and it would fade to black. And I was thinking like, what a funny like old movie thing to do, like that's not in movies. And then I'm like, all right, that's commercials, but it would like the music would start playing as it slowly fades out and fades to black.
Well, I think another thing, like going with that, like I feel like that was actually a thing around in the 70s where they would do that sort of fade. So I feel like some of them could have been organic as well. I just don't know. But you could kind of tell.
Stylistic with a purpose.
Yes. I feel like if it's cutting in an important part of the story, that's probably commercial break, because they want to keep you, like a cliffhanger. So you have to stick around. But who knows? Yeah. I just thought it was funny.
Joe, I just looked it up and you're actually right. Brian Piccolo died in 1970 and this movie came out in 1971. So very, very soon after he died.
Dang. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I did read that little trivia fact. That Columbia actually put this in theaters because it was so popular and it did so well that they moved it from TV to theaters, but then apparently didn't do well in theaters. So, but they went for it. They tried. It's something I would love to like kind of see, little sidetrack, but like I would love to see like a TV show, if it comes out every week. I would love to see each episode in theaters. That would be really cool. Like a Stranger Things, each episode would be shown in theaters like each week. That would be kind of cool.
That's actually a good idea. If they had like a movie pass situation where, you could like be like, I'm going to buy my theater pass to go see Stranger Things or something. And you could just come back every week.
That would be sweet.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Just throwing out some ideas for you.
We're the
Rest
ideas
in peace,
podcast.
Movie Pass.
What a short-lived phenomenon.
What a thing! What a thing! Movie.
It was the
Pass.
best thing ever when it came out, and then it just hit the fan. Hit the fan. I didn't know James Caan, the Brian. I didn't know that was him. I always just think of him from Elf. He's the dad in Elf.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and Misery. He's like the
realize,
guy in Misery too. But then I was like, oh wait, I've never seen him as a younger role. But then he's Sonny in the Godfather trilogy. So I have seen him in those. But other than that, I haven't really seen him in other things until he was older. So that was kind of funny.
Interesting.
And then Billy D. Williams, he looks so young in this movie.
Which one is he?
He plays Gale.
What has he done after this?
I mean, he's known for like Star Wars, like Lando.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Man, I love when people tell me, who these old people are. And I'm like, I didn't. No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I always get Billy D and Carl Weathers, who plays Apollo Creed. I always get them they look similar.
They do look similar. Yeah.
So I love them both. They're both so good. But Billy D.
I still think, I still think I'd put Rocky above any football movie I think I've ever seen.
I think so too. But so this one, okay. So, I mean, it's a pretty simple story, right? They try out, or they make the team. They try out, make the team.
They met in Buffalo.
Oh, was that in the movie? Did I miss that?
It's like the opening line.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember hearing Buffalo, but okay.
That whole thing where he's like, because he said that in Buffalo, right?
Gotcha. That makes sense. I remember hearing something about Buffalo, so that totally makes sense. I thought it was
they were
funny.
in some game or something, or they both knew they were chosen by the Bears.
Gotcha.
It's like an exhibition game or something.
Yeah. Another trivia fact. Apparently James Caan, who plays Brian, was way faster than Gale, Billy D. So you can tell when they're running, he has to slow down. Like he's like trying to run slower, which I thought was funny. After reading that, I was like, this makes so much sense. Because it looks kind of bad.
I have a question, a movie making question. How do they film those stadium scenes?
That's a great question. I was actually trying to Google that. I was Googling that actually. I was trying to figure that out, but I couldn't find anything. I wonder if it was real footage.
It was at they were playing the 49ers actually.
Right.
I remember noticing, but I don't know how they would. I don't know what CGI was like back then, but I imagine that was probably a real stadium.
What do you think was archival footage of actual plays?
Could be. The only location I could find was one in Indiana, so that I don't think it was a stadium, but
gotcha. I mean, it looked good.
Actually, maybe because it's St. Joseph's College in Wheatfield, Indiana.
Yeah, that was a training camp scenes. I got down for that.
But I wonder if they have a stadium as a part of the college that they maybe shot at.
Oh, maybe
that a little more,
because some of the like sideline scenes where there's like you can see everyone in the audience though, like it's packed.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also it was like on Wikipedia and stuff, it said like Chicago Bears as themselves. Does that mean were any of the real players in this movie?
Dick Butkus was in it.
But like did other players get to be in this, or are they all just, is it just Chicago Bears as like the team is playing itself?
I assume it was the real players. I mean, I think because from what I read, the Sayers obviously wrote a book about it, but like they had a big hand in making the movie. A lot of people who are affiliated with Brian Piccolo and Gale Sayers like made this movie. Like a lot of them helped write the script, produce it. So I assume that a lot of the Bears were real players. First of all, it's probably cheaper. And second of all, it's more authentic. So I can appreciate that. Like I love the Longest Yard, like the remake, because they have a lot of like random football players in there too. It's like it's a great mix of actors and real football players. So I love when they do that. I love when they incorporate real football players.
I don't, this just made me think of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they do the tryouts for the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, this is Donovan McNabb. And a guy just pulls up in like an old car and he's so not Donovan McNabb.
He's like, I'm Donovan McNabb.
Donovan McNabb. Hey guys, I'm Donovan McNabb. I play quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm here to tell you that you can too if you start every day with a hearty breakfast from McDonald's. Like the new sausage, egg, McGriddle value meal, available now for limited time for under $5. Remember, guys, real champs, eat at McDonald's. I'm loving it. Can I get the check?
That's good. What the hell was that?
Thanks, Donnie.
That was not Donovan McNabb. That was not Donovan McNabb.
Yes, it was.
It's like a McDonald's plug. Was that the guy from the Cosby Show? Was that the guy from the Cosby Show?
That
was the guy from... Yeah, he was married to Sandra. Alvin. They had Raven Simone. That's so Raven.
That's not the guy from... You know what? Splits!
Oh.
Remember McNabb with Campbell's Chunky Noodle Soup and his mom?
Yeah.
All those ads?
Dude, he was so good. He was so fun to watch.
The best. Second best Eagles player there was.
Donnie Jones, number one.
Donnie Jones.
Let's see what else did I write down.
I mean, like you said, though, this is a pretty straightforward story. The one thing that I will say that I really appreciate, and because I oftentimes feel the same way, is like when Gale hurt his knee and Brian was like helping him, rehab his knee, and he told him why. He's like I want to beat you when you're 100% because I've always been this, second in line, and I want to get there, but I want to get there the right way. Mm-hmm. And I sometimes feel that way. I often felt that way. Well, I think this has passed at this point, but like as a Bills fan, I always wanted them to beat Tom Brady. So I was actually really mad when he was traded to the Bucs because the Bills hadn't beat them yet, but they were starting to get good.
Right.
And then they had another shot at him this year and they lost again. So like, I just don't think they're ever going to have that redemption arc, but
that's funny.
They
I
did.
love that comparison.
So.
Do the Bills, I was wondering this, do the Bills have a rivalry with the Patriots or is it just Tom Brady?
That's a great question.
I would say both, but it's not, I mean, until maybe it's more of a rivalry now, arguably, but like it wasn't that close for a very long time. Like they just cleaned up, but I think now maybe it's a little more fair to call it a rivalry, but I think it's more just like a little brother, big brother, I would say, if I had to like put a term to it, because maybe you'll get them like once out of like 30, right. But it makes you really want that win against them,
Now I'm thinking like in divisions, there's usually a team in your division that you hate the most. Like for me, it's the Chiefs. Like I obviously don't like the Broncos or the Chargers, but they're on like a different level. Like the Chiefs are up here and the other two are like down here. Do you guys have that? Is that like, wasn't it the Dolphins for a while? Or I don't know. I'm not super familiar with
the Dolphins was more of a rivalry because they could actually beat the Dolphins every once in a while. For the 49ers, for I would even say still like I think they're more rivals with Seattle, even though they're not as good this year. But like historically, that's been a pretty strong rivalry. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I tend to agree. There's usually like the one team that you're like, yeah, above all others, this is the team we really want to beat. And I think that was the Patriots for the Bills, but maybe it wasn't the Bills for the Patriots.
Right. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. A one way,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I love going, watching this movie, watching the football scenes. Cause like, it looks like their equipment was so minimal back then.
I want to bring back the sweatsuits.
Yeah. 100%. But like they're freaking, what is it called?
They look plastic.
Yeah. And there's like one or two bars. It's like a kicker's
the face mask. Yeah.
The face mask. Yeah. It's crazy. And like, they just look so small. Like their shoulders look big, but then everything else looks just like.
Well, that's part of what's crazy to me about like the history of the sport of football is like I remember I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton one time. And the football, the way it's played now versus the way it used to be played, you could have taken any like relatively fit guys off, the street and just been like, right. Yeah, just go at it. And like that was football. Like now it's like running into a brick wall, like just watching a bunch of grown men concuss each other.
Literally.
Like it's so much faster and like everyone's just so much bigger. It's just like completely different. But
that's why they have to put
in some ways I kind of like the idea of the original where like anyone can just, come in and play.
Yeah, but I think that's also it's one of the reasons why like they probably retired earlier, because they didn't have as much padding and they just kind of there wasn't as many rules, so it was like they could just kind of, it was like a free for all essentially. Like Gale Sayers, I read that he is currently the youngest player to ever be inducted in the Hall of Fame at 34, which is crazy. I mean, think about it, Brady's 40 and he's still playing, but I don't know. Players usually, running backs, I feel like retire around like 30, maybe 31.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
That's a long career.
Definitely
probably
right now.
That's pretty.
Running backs don't have a long lifespan.
What
in the they have a long lifespan. They just don't have a long career, I should say.
Right. Lifespan. Well, if you play football, you might not have as long of a lifespan.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a
professional
different
football, because you play high school football, and I'm sure your lifespan is probably the same as it would have been before you played football.
I mean, I was a kicker though, so
I still love that. One day you have to just wear your kicker if you still have it, and you probably don't have any of that stuff.
No,
damn it.
But maybe I'll get like a kicker's helmet just for the hell of it.
You should get a Bills one. That'd be
just
great.
a one bar.
Yeah.
But
put like a mic on it so you could do the podcast from the helmet.
I should have. Yeah, I should have a helmet on for this. Anytime I pick a football movie, I'll need to wear my helmet.
You might fall off the chair. You never know.
Never know.
Oh my God.
But yeah, not a whole lot to this one. Definitely not. I wouldn't call this a happy movie, but I would say this is probably a classic movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really well received TV movie. I was reading
one of them best.
Great. And it's funny how, like you said, like it feels like a TV movie. It feels like the story flies by. Yeah. Like it feels very like short, concise. But it's funny, like if the movie's like 15 minutes longer, maybe it's because like commercial breaks cut up. But like a movie's an hour and a half, suddenly transitions. So like, oh yeah, this feels like a movie. But like hour 15, it's like it felt like it flew by.
Yeah, it's almost like a nowadays episode of something. Like literally, like and. Like, I don't know. There's probably there's probably documentaries about this out there. I feel like I would almost prefer that, just because, not that I didn't think the acting was bad, but it was just, I don't know. A story like this, I kind of want to see some raw footage. I don't know. It might just make it a little more emotional.
Well, the interesting thing about that, like, I don't disagree with you. I just like, one, I couldn't imagine being in a documentary as I get sick. It's like, well, how do we know I'm going to die here? Like all like there's a lot of like probably hard to predict elements, as well as like, this is my life. Like, please don't don't be all up in my business as I'm like going through surgery and stuff, which I don't know. I appreciate that they took the story and they tried to like tell it in this way, because I think if they had done like there's not cameras as pervasive then as there is now when everyone has a cell phone, but like, I guess maybe that's the difference, is like you have to actually be intentional about what you want to shoot, probably a little bit more back then.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, because they don't cut as much, because a lot of it's one takes, and because they just don't have budget, especially for a TV movie in the 70s. Like films actually had more of a budget, but like TV movies probably had nothing. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking like, and this might exist. So if there is someone out there who knows this exists, like let me know. But I'm just picturing like an HBO thing of like Gale Sayers doing like a whole narration throughout the whole movie, kind of about like his experience. I think it's almost like a commentary. Like I would almost enjoy like this movie.
30 for 30.
Exactly. And there's probably one of those. I just haven't looked, but I would love to see maybe even this exact same movie, but with almost like a commentary with Gale Sayers talking over it or something, kind of talking about production and like how related, how like real it is comparable to the story, and how his book compares to the movie. I'd be really interested in hearing all that.
I'd like to see them do like a, like I guess it would be like 50-year.
Yeah. Like a restoration copy or something. That would be
was last year the 50-year anniversary of this coming out?
71.
Oh, yeah. So, you're right, because it was 71.
Oh no, let's greenlight it again. Another movie,
dude. Ideas, let's go.
Speaking of reunions, this actually transitions very well into movie news.
Do we want to rate?
I know we got to do ratings,
Okay.
but I want to say this because it's a good. The Harry Potter reunion just came out. It's been 20 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, we actually. I mean, so like some parts of Harry Potter, we consider Christmas movies, even though they're not really Christmas movies. But like, there's Christmas scenes in it, and sometimes that is just a good. And they always came out around the holidays, so like for some reason that association is there for us. So we went through, and over the past few weeks, we watched all of them, all the movies, nice. And then on New Year's Day, the 20-year reunion came out, and it was nice to watch. It was well done. It just kind of brought you back into that world, and it was just kind of nice. I wouldn't say it was like groundbreaking, but it, if the Harry Potter series meant anything to you, like it'll be nice. It'll be nice to go back.
Now, is it like a Friends reunion situation kind of style, or how is it? Handled?
It was a little, not really. I wouldn't say it was a lot like they were sitting down and talking between like all characters, the directors. But it wasn't like weird, like James Corden fashion show. Gotcha. So I liked that part. Like it was a little bit more of like
almost like a round table. Or like chatting.
Yeah, but it was more like smaller groups. Like there wasn't really ever one time that it was just like everybody sitting down together, and it definitely wasn't like a live event like the Friends one was.
Gotcha.
But it was more like, putting the characters in some of the sets that they must have rebuilt.
Oh, cool.
And then they just like talked about filming the movies. And so it was interesting. There's a few things that like I didn't know that I won't spoil for anybody, but
sweet.
But yeah, it was good. Anyway, we can circle back on ratings.
Yeah, here. Well, let's do locations. I'll just roll through those. I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but I'll just run through them quick. The interior of Gale Sayers' house was actually the interior set of Bewitched, which was kind of fun little fact.
Ooh.
I assume that's a studio or something. I don't know. And then Joe, you mentioned the St. Joseph's College in Indiana, in Wheatfield, Indiana. I read that was where the training camp sequences were shot. Columbia, the ranch, Columbia and Hollywood. That's where the home. Yeah, okay, it's the house. Gale Sayers' house was in Hollywood, and then it's just at Chicago. So I assume some of the Soldier Field. I assume they shot some things at the field and whatnot, which is funny because I read that he played. Apparently, Brian Piccolo only played on Wrigley Field, but they shot a lot of this at not a lot of this, but they shot some of it at Soldier Field, which I thought was interesting because I'm like, did they not have did they just practice at Wrigley maybe, or like, I don't know. I didn't really read too much into it.
It's just their practice field. They're like they, usually don't. Well, maybe you do now. I don't know. Like most places have different places to practice them.
Yeah, it's true. I guess it's kind of a newer thing too. I mean, like the Wild, we just like our practice rig was built a couple of years ago. Like it's super new. So I assume that's not like I don't know.
I wonder if they had turf.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Probably a stupid question, but I wonder. I assume they wouldn't have had turf.
No, I don't think so. I think that's a newer thing too.
Because one of the reasons you wouldn't play on your game field is you don't tear up your game field practicing.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, this is all making sense.
But if it's turf, it can't get torn up, so it's no big deal. But that probably is a more recent development.
Right. Ratings. Joe, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I wouldn't say that this is like anywhere near my top movies, but it's good. It's sad. I generally don't like sad movies. I'm gonna go with a solid 7. Nice. 7 beer huts, because I thought it was really funny how after sprinting, they just wanted to drink a beer, which usually is the last thing I want to do after I do any sprinting.
Oh, really? I feel like that's why I love marathons or like longer races, because they always have drinks. They give you a beer ticket.
I usually want like water.
I mean, that makes sense.
Maybe they're speaking your language, not mine.
For sure. Jesse, you want to go?
Sure, I'm going 5 mashed potato pants. Is that what he put under him when he sat down?
Oh yeah, mashed potatoes.
Was it mashed potatoes?
Yeah.
5 pants full of mashed potatoes.
Nice.
I don't know. It's just in the middle. I mean, I'm also not. It was sad. I don't like being sad. Not not a big football person. It's a great classic, and it's not. It's nice that it's like a TV. It's a good story that goes through quick, though. Like it doesn't feel like it's just like lollygagging around for any time. Which is right in the middle.
Cool.
Easy as that.
Nice. Pretty simple. I'm very similar to you, Jesse. I think this is it's an important and super fascinating story that I think if you are super into football, I think you would really enjoy. I think I'm glad this exists because I probably would have no idea anything about the story of Brian Piccolo and or Gale Sayers. So this is, and because I'm not as much of a book person as I'm a movie person, so I'm glad that they made this appeal to those type of people. And the cast is great. It's very TV movie, as I mentioned. I love the 70s, love the vibe of the 70s. This was very 70s. I mean, everything from the carpet to the wallpaper to the hairstyles, it was crazy. I thought I was watching the Brady Bunch for a second. And then, but I'm gonna go 5 as well. This just it's not that I didn't like it. It's just, I don't know. That's about it.
Would you say that there's just like not enough there for it to be like interesting enough for you?
Like, I just didn't like, obviously it was very sad when he, died at the end, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like a connection to really any of the characters. I was like, oh, this is sad, but I don't know. And that actually might have benefited from it being longer to have a more of a character development, I think. But then again, this is for TV, not supposed to be that long. So, but yeah. I do love the length. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would highly recommend this to people who are like into football movies in general. So I think they would really. This is very nostalgic to me. Like, I think Joe, you're right. When your dad used to bring this home, like I remember, I think we rented this at some point too, and I definitely watched this. Before
this is
I saw
back
it.
When you'd go to see Jesse at the movie store.
This was way before that. This was the OG movies. Store.
It's like the library, the DVD section of the library.
But also, I think I mentioned earlier, like if I'm watching a football movie, I kind of want to watch it for the football. Like, and I wish there was a little more football. I know it wasn't about that, but I thought the football scenes were really cool. They were really well done. And I love the old school. I just love anything old school football is super cool to me. And I know the 70s, the Raiders were good. So it's fun to watch football during that time. But I'm going to go 5 piccolos because the instrument.
Yep.
But cool.
Speaking of being sad, we probably need to acknowledge 2 deaths that happened recently.
Yes.
I was like, when you jumped into the Harry Potter, I was like, I've been holding off trying to jump into another sad football news.
Yeah.
The John Madden and Betty White got,
classic people, man.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that John Madden, his doc aired on Christmas Day, and he die like it was the day after. When did he die? Or a couple days after? It was very close to Christmas.
Yeah.
And his doc it was just weird. I don't know. That was a yeah.
I mean, and Betty White was on the cover of People magazine the day the week before she died. That was like Betty turns 100.
And on what, the 17th of January?
Quite make it.
Oh,
Yeah.
she hadn't even turned 100.
No,
January. I thought
January
the cover
17th.
of the magazine was okay.
No, I had the same thought because when it happened, and I was like, oh, like she made it to 100, and he was like, no, didn't quite make it. But I gut punch on both of those guys.
I know. I mean, Madden is obviously a historical legend, and his literally video games named after him, and he's a great. And Betty White,
he still incredible. Is like what I hear when I think of a football announcer.
Yes, yeah.
I remember watching Monday Night Football when he was announcing like that. I didn't know him, wasn't around when he was coaching the Raiders, but like that the announcer voice of John Madden is like what I think of when I think of an announcer.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Sportscaster.
Yep.
And he was kind of the first coach player to ever start like, what do you call it? Sportscasting.
Announcing whatever.
Announcing
Coverage.
games.
I don't know.
And now that's pretty pervasive. Not everybody, but think of like the Tony Romos and Drew Breeses and Chris Sims and all those guys who also played.
It's like a path now. Like you retire and become an analyst or a.
Yeah, you bring a different perspective than somebody who is simply observing the game without having played or coached it.
Right.
Yeah.
So sad news, but they both lived great lives.
Yes.
I still think of, and I'm forgetting. I was seeing something about Madden on how like the list of things, it's like you can't talk about football without Madden in its history. You can't talk about video games without Madden in its history. You can't talk about sports broadcasting without Madden in its history. And it was like six thing that's like he's an inaugural like part of that history of these like 6 things. But I still think of that Mad TV sketch where he's selling the John Madden's TV popcorn powder.
Yes.
I don't know how many times we watched it. It was the funniest thing, but just so good.
It's crazy also because like if you think, kids probably born in the mid 2000s who are playing Madden, they probably have no idea John Madden was even affiliated with that. Maybe they do, but if they're super into football, but I feel like there's an average kid who's like, oh, you want to play a football video game, and they just play Madden. I don't know if the first thought is John Madden, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious. Maybe what you guys think, because I don't really watch a lot of sports broadcasting now, but like I know Madden was really, people even out, or like if maybe especially outside of football, always talk about how Madden was really good at like not assuming people knew stuff about football. Like he broke things down really simply so like everyone could understand what's going on, and how like usually that's not the case with people. Like usually there's just an assumption that like X, Y, and Z about football and everything going on. So like he was really like someone who like everyone could enjoy listening to him because of the way he broadcasted. And I don't know if that is something that has stayed with sports broadcasting or if it's come back to some retired NFL players who are like, of course we all know the ins and outs.
The thing that I find that's crazy is that for me anyway, I will sometimes feel like the game is better literally muting the sports broadcaster and like listening to music over the game or like something else like that. There are a handful of announcers that I think actually add like valuable insight to the game where I actually like want to listen because I might learn something or like, I might see it in a slightly different way than I am just watching it the one time I see it. But not everyone is like that. And I feel like it actually can take away from the game if it's not good. And I think that's a testament to what you just said, is that like a good announcer actually, breaks things down simply. And I think that's what John Madden was really good at.
I do love the fandom of local announcers that I've learned in the past few years of like, does these like in Portland, the guy who like called all the Blazers games for like, what was it, like 30, 40 years or something, like 80 years? I don't know, no clue. But like, I love finding out the local, like people who call games and being like, oh, the ones that are actually like all the fans are like, we love that guy.
Right. It is so funny. Just working at the Wild, I'm getting to know all the broadcasters and all like the people on the radio, and it's fascinating the culture around that. Like they're not John Madden level, but people love them anyway.
Right.
You go like one town like over and nobody knows. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it is funny though, because you watch, I'll watch the Raiders games and you watch these different football games in their hometowns and you can tell the specific voice. Like, when I was interviewing with the Titans, it was like, there's that specific voice, that one guy that announces the games. And you just, every time you hear like, oh wait, this must be a Titans game, or that's a Raiders game, or I don't know. I just love that. That's kind of fun. But yeah. So, and Betty White, she's another historical legend that was in everything, and people seem to love her very much. So So
I still think one of my favorite Betty White movies is Grandma's Boy.
I think that was her favorite.
I will say, for 99 years old, she looks pretty good.
Oh, wait.
Just with it.
Did I screw this up? I think I might have screwed this up.
Joe's feeding us wrong information.
Oh, yes, I screwed this up. Oh my God, that's bad.
Ooh,
I'll cut that out.
Is it just someone else?
Doris Roberts. Why did I think that was
okay. I'll cut that out. Don't worry. You won't look like it.
I'm gonna look like an idiot.
You just dub over a different movie. She was like, you know what my favorite movie was?
Wait, that would actually be hilarious.
We're like, we love that one.
I do like Grandma's Boy though. Apparently, I thought that was Betty White. So,
all right, what else we got? I mean, Don't Look Up came out, that new Adam McKay movie on Netflix.
I watched it.
What'd you think?
Have either of you watched it?
Nope.
Okay, well, all I say is, well, I was gonna say I won't give anything away. It was good. And of course, like, I love Jonah Hill. He's my favorite. It's come up multiple times. And I love Adam McKay, who did this.
Yeah.
So like, and it's such a killer cast. Like, it's just a fun movie. But people were loving it so much. Like, I watched it a couple days after it came out. So like, I'd seen people be posting about how great it is. And I thought it was going to be even better. It's a good movie, but like, it was one of those where I went into it being like, this is going to be killer. Because I've seen a couple days of people being like, this is amazing.
I mean, the cast speaks for itself, like you were saying. And Adam McKay is always great. So you'd think it would be.
It is really good. It's just, to me, I went into it with such high expectations.
Gotcha.
That I don't know. I figured it was, I thought it was going to be even a little better. It's really good though.
So don't go in with high expectations.
Yeah, it's going to be good. But like, I wasn't like, it's the best movie ever made.
Gotcha.
I wish Jonah Hill was in it a little more. But it's like smart. It's like, you know, Adam McKay, it's like commentary on climate warming, but he didn't want to use climate warming specifically.
Gotcha.
You got to watch after there's like the like main credits at the end, and then there's a little scene, and then there's like the rolling credits, and then there's also another scene.
Oh.
So,
doing the Marvel thing.
That, but yeah, I mean, hilarious too. I mean, again, it's like 3 seconds at the end. Know what I'm saying? Like, hilarious to think of it as like a Marvel thing, because of what it is. When you see what the end is, you'll be like, yeah, it's hilarious. Like, they stole like a Marvel thing to do that.
That's amazing.
All
right. I mean, I'm still intrigued. I've been trying to avoid reviews recently, because like they can skew you how you think so like easy. At least for me, if I see one review and it's like, this is like best movie ever, or this was terrible, I just think about that the entire time I'm watching this movie. So I can't do that. But that's all right. I'm gonna do it.
I forgot to do my favorite segment.
I know.
Which is 1-star reviews.
You need to.
I have them. I pulled them. I just forgot to do them.
Read that review.
So this actually not a lot of 1-star reviews on this. So I ended up going to the Amazon page of the DVD to find some 1-star reviews. So this is a good one. This was March 12th, 2020, from username Brian.
Whoa. Is this him? Did he watch his own movie?
Get ready. This is also all in caps. I'll say it's all in caps.
Thanks for
1
that.
star. Actually, the title is not in caps. Then the whole review is in caps.
There's so many things wrong with this already.
1 star. Such a disappointment. DVD don't even work. So upsetting. I actually got my name Brian from this movie. Mom was in labor watching this in the background in the hospital, and she decided she loved the name Brian. Funny thing is, I played running back just like him, played through college, full scholarship. I just pray I don't end as he did. Anyway, back to product. This is also all written very horribly. I was so excited to watch, but DVD skips after 6-7 minutes. I even fast forward, tried skipping to next scenes, but it's a total loss. I was going to surprise Mom with it, but I just got Mom excited just to let her down being able to watch. Honestly, it's going to cost me more money to return it. with Taxi than the $5 fee UPS charges to print it at store because I don't have Print It. I was looking forward to getting more. Thankfully, I just got just the one to bake. Sure, it was legit. Glad I didn't buy more. I guess if you can check other sellers before using sellers. Sorry to have to give review, but don't only losing money. It's, and then two words that are not capitalized. It's the back to capitalized disappointment that you can't get back. So how can you give 1 star if the DVD don't even work? They should refund me to make this all go away so I can get another. Oh, well.
Wait.
This sounds like somebody who doesn't know how to work a DVD player.
Possibly.
Also, I have 2 things. One, DVDs skip. You need to clean them properly. He probably didn't do that. Second of all, the end, you said at the end, he said something about getting it again.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the last
Sounds
line?
like he got this like a bootlegged version that somebody like ripped and sold him on the side of the street.
But it sounds like he didn't enjoy the movie, but he wants another copy. That's what
I mean, he's named after. Well, okay, and then these 2 very short, like 1 line actually about the movie. That just was the only 1 star that really screamed 1 star review. Even though it's about a DVD, was a disappointing movie. I can't think of a better headline. My complaint is not with the seller, it's with the movie. Everyone told me I'd cry. I usually do. I get very emotional with sad movies, but I didn't even form 1 tear. Disappointing. And then they signed it, Bolian 997. And then Sherry Coleman also said, hated original, way better, more felt. None of these are really making sense. I don't know what's going on with the reviews of this movie.
I love that though. That first review is pretty solid.
Yeah, had to fit in some. Again, more with DVDs and the technology, but
I love that. I'm glad you remember that because that's definitely a segment we have to keep going.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to find them, man.
I know.
We're talking about DVD reviews on Amazon, but
Joe, you saw Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I'm going to get to that. I have 3 things I wrote down. I just want to mention the 2 and then we'll talk Spider-Man because I want to actually talk about that. Book of Boba Fett came out for anyone who's Star Wars inclined. In the near future, the Tragedy of Macbeth is coming out, an A24 film that Apple did. I'm very excited about that. It's got Denzel in it. I hope it's good, but we'll see.
A24.
And then I always knew I liked Spider-Man 3. Apparently it was the wrong movie, but like I always knew I would like it. But yeah, I loved Spider-Man No Way Home. It is like everything I would want in a movie. It's got all of these different like character stories like coming together from like different movies, and they did a really good job writing that all together. And they actually like I thought the most impressive thing was they actually resolved like like 6-7 different character arcs in one movie, in different movies too, from different movies. The writing is incredible in my opinion. Like how it ends, when it ends, like basically, Jesse, do you care if we just spoil everything?
Nope, go for it.
Okay. Basically, Doctor Strange erases everyone's memory from Peter Parker. Like no one knows that Spider-Man or Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So no one even knows, like he loses his friends, he loses everything. Like no one knows him at all, essentially. So it's incredible that they can do this whole trilogy.
Wait, nobody knows Peter Parker, but they know Spider-Man still.
They know Peter Parker, but they don't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But
they know both of them. They just don't know they're connected now.
Right. But then that means since that doesn't happen, then a lot of his relationships he builds throughout the trilogy doesn't even exist. Like at the end, he sees Zendaya and his friend Ned, and they don't even know him. Like it's crazy, but it's incredible because they wrote it. It also ended like how Spider-Man 2 ended, which I loved. Kind of in the apartment. He starts, he's starting his own life, but it's incredible because they have this trilogy where all this stuff happens, all these character developments, and then they just completely erased it. Now they can start from scratch. They can do anything they want. Yeah. It is incredible. It's genius. That's exactly what I said on our way home when we were talking about it. Cause I was like, they could literally take this anywhere they want or leave it alone. Yep. They could do whatever because they brought every single character and every single Spider-Man full circle. They gave them every single character a proper closure. I thought that was amazing.
I will say, I really wish, at the very end when he walks into his New York City apartment to kind of start his new life, you hear this guy go "Rent" in the background. And I was really hoping it was the Rent guy.
I really hope so. I mean, it was the same apartment.
It was. Yeah. And he sewed his new suit because he never got the suit from Tony Stark. So he like made his own suit. Oh, and it's like the class. It's so good. It's genius.
The storytelling and really Tom Holland's awesome.
He's perfect.
But like, yeah, the story was just so well done. And part of me wonders, because like there was this, movie aside, there was this like Marvel Sony like business side issue for so long. I want to know who had this idea and when, because I remember when they were rebooting Spider-Man after like not that long, it was like they did the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and then they started the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and it was like a few years later, and I'm like, this feels a little overdone, right? But like this actually makes it feel like almost as if like somebody had this idea like a long time ago, even though I kind of doubt it, but
right.
I don't know. It's just really amazing writing.
I 100% agree. I think it's the best written Spider-Man movie that's come out. Maybe even Marvel movie. I think it's incredible.
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. Yeah.
It's just impressive how they can, like, you look at Spider-Man 3, and I know you love it, but like the writing in that is not as great. They're trying to connect all these villains and stuff. This has even more villains, even more characters, 2 new Spider-Man. It's like, and dude, their introduction.
This is like, I feel like the vision of the original Spider-Man 3, but just way better execution.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I think I actually said this when we reviewed Spider-Man 3. I was like, I feel like I respect that they tried. Like, I saw where they were going. I liked the direction. It wasn't perfect execution, but I still was happy it went there. And I feel that same way about this one, except it actually hit home. Like they actually got it right.
They actually got home, even though there was no way home.
Gotcha.
But I also love the end credits sequence because I've never seen the Venom films, but I've heard they're not great. And I know you said you haven't liked them, but I love that too, because they acknowledge that because he's in it, right? Tom Hardy's in it. He leaves the little alien thing and he goes back to his universe. So he's not even gonna be the Venom in this universe. They kind of erased that whole story too. Now this is gonna be completely new. It's
a good point.
It's awesome.
I guess I didn't think about the Tom Hardy So that was the one critique I would have, is I wish Venom was a part of this.
He'll be in the next one though.
But it wouldn't have made sense.
No.
Because none of those Spider-Mans knew about the Tom Hardy Venom.
No.
It would have had to be the Topher Grace. And I didn't really like his version as much. So,
but I think Venom, I have a feeling Venom's going to be, because I think they're doing 3 more with Tom Holland. And I think Venom's going to be the main villain in that one of those, because that symbiote is eventually going to get to somebody. Like, I'm super pumped where they take it. So I'm very excited about that.
I will be curious too, because I know you haven't seen the Venoms, but like they take a very like voice in your head, but more conversational,
right? And which comical, right?
Yeah, they try to use it as like a comedic effect, and I mean, it works in that way. But I feel like they have the potential to like make Venom like a really dark, cool character.
Yeah.
And I hope they do. I hope they don't like try and like laugh him off too much,
I don't think they will. I think the producers and writers around Spider-Man, about the new Spider-Mans, they have it, like they've got everything under control. I have complete trust in them.
But it's the same Venom, right? So wouldn't it have the same? I guess I don't know how.
I don't know. That's a great question. I think it affects people differently though. Think about it. Cause like Toby's, when he got infected, he was different. Topher Grace was different. They were all kind of different in their own way. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But I agree. They somehow took, and like, if you had told me that going into that, where I like you knew from the last one that they like publicly declared the identity of Peter Parker to be Spider-Man, and you're like, how the hell are they going to resolve this?
Right.
They just did such a good job.
It's incredible. Yeah. Applause all around. I'm gonna go see it, I think, again this week.
Do it.
But all right, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I mean, Joe Gatto is leaving the Practical Jokers. I don't know if you guys are a fan of that show, but
I mean,
that's an occasional like guilty pleasure that I just like to throw on. And
he made a public announcement that him and his wife mutually decided to separate, and he's gonna focus on his kids, I guess. So, and that whole thing. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if they'll bring in a new one or just have 3 of them, but little tidbit I read.
Interesting.
Other
I
than
never
that-
still watch the Practical Jokers. Like I forget that they're actually still filming, but I do listen to Sal Volcano.
Oh, he's
on
so
his
funny.
podcasts and stuff. So
Yeah, I think they're hilarious. They're fun.
I like Sal the best.
Yeah, Sal's good. He does tour. He tours. He was actually supposed to come here, but I think they canceled it or they pushed it back.
Mhm.
Cool. Is that a wrap? You guys have anything else?
That's it from me.
The Beatles doc.
I still haven't watched that one. I gotta get on that. Yeah, I haven't really had the chance to watch anything the past couple weeks because I've just been so busy with work, but I'm less busy this week, so I'm gonna crank on some stuff I've missed.
Yeah. I think Don't Look Up was my only thing. So
Okay. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Teppy's farting, so you know what that means.
Go time.
And she's panting. All right, let's wrap it up.